Okay, Algebra 1. We are here with lesson 71. And this lesson is entitled Trinomials with Common Factors. Okay, now in lesson 69, if we remember, we were factoring trinomials. We were just factoring them. Now we're factoring them with common factors. Okay, so one of the examples they give us, x to the third plus 6x squared plus 5x. Okay, now this has a common factor, which is just x. So if we take x out of x to the third, we have x to the second. If we take x out of 6x squared, we have 6x. If we take x out of 5x, we have plus 5. So now we have this trinomial that's going to be multiplied by a common factor here. And we know how to factor this trinomial. We did it in lesson 69. Okay? If we do, obviously we have x squared. We have x times x will be x squared. Okay, now we need to figure out what times what equals 5. Well, 5 is a prime number. 5 times 1 is that's it. And we know that 5 plus 1 will equal 6. So it doesn't matter how we do it. We're going to say 5 and 1, and we're obviously going to be adding them. There's two additions here, so we have plus 1 plus 5. So if we factor this out, we have our common factor right here, and then we factor out our trinomial, which is x plus 5 times x plus 1. Okay? And again, being the first example is the easiest. And I'm going to do another one right here. Real quick. Okay? Another example. We have 4bx to the third minus 4bx to the second minus 80bx. Okay, now we're going to find the common factor. We're going to find the common factor. Okay, so what is in all three of these? 4 obviously goes into 80. Okay, 4b is in every single one of them, right? Then there's only one b in every single one of them. X. Now we need to find the greatest common factor of x, and it's just that one x right here. Okay, we can't put anything more than that. So our common factor, our greatest common factor is 4bx. Now we're going to set up our factoring of what remains. Okay, well, what remains? Actually, I should have put what remains first. Okay, what remains out of this? Okay, will be out of the 4bx, we take out 4bx out of the first one, we're left with x squared. We take out 4bx of the second one, we're at minus, right? We have the minus sign. We take out 4bx of that, it's just going to be an x, right? And then we take out 4bx out of this fourth one, right? So we have minus 20, okay? Now, we want to factor, right? We want to factor out this trinomial right here. Well, we know x times x, right? Okay, now we need to figure out what times what equals 20. That's going to give us a remainder of 1. Well, it's going to be 5 times 4, okay? Now, we want to finish with a minus 1, right? Right here, we want to finish with a minus 1. So we know we're going to have a 5 and a 4, and obviously we want to finish with a negative 20. One of these is going to be positive, one of these is going to be negative, okay? The higher one should be negative, so it's going to be minus 5 and plus 4, right? So that's how you would find the common factor of this trinomial and then factor out the trinomial. Remember, in this lesson, when you're doing your homework, this, I was looking at the lesson from number 8 to number 21. Number 8 to number 21. Is that right? Yeah, number 8 to 21 is going to have to do with not only this lesson, but also lesson 69. So there's a lot of practice that goes on because this is very important stuff, okay? Now, there is another part of this lesson that we must do. The other part of this lesson is subscripted variables, okay? And it's going to be using the substitution method as well as the elimination method. I wanted to do one example from this. I'll do the substitution method, okay? And they're talking about subscripted variables. 5 n, and then they put another n right there. And what they're talking about is 5 times the number of nickels plus 25 times the number of quarters equals 290. And they're using the substitution method. So what they say is, well, the number of quarters equals the number of nickels plus 2. So when we're using the substitution method, well, here's what the number of quarters equals. And that's going to go in right here. So it's going to be 25 times this right here. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this and write 5 times the number of nickels plus 25 times the number of nickels plus 2 equals 290. Okay? So I need to do the distributive property right here. I'm going to finish off with 5 times the number of nickels plus 25 number of nickels plus 50 equals 290. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this up here so I don't. So I'm going to erase this. My dry erase board is small and I need to make more room. Okay? So, now I know how I can solve this, right? I will add the like terms. 5 times the number of nickels plus 25 times the number of nickels is 30. Number of nickels plus 50 equals 290. Okay? Like terms, I'm going to minus 50 here, minus 50 here. I'm left with 30. 30 number of nickels equals 240. 30 times something equals 240. Well, I divide by 30. I divide by 30. Number of nickels equals 8, right? Then I go back to my original problem and I will substitute in the number of nickels for 8 because I have now found the number of nickels, and I'll be able to solve the number of quarters just as easily. Okay? That's today's lesson. You have 1 through 30. A lot of problems having to do with the last few lessons. Okay? Double check your work and get cracking.